tribulations, my heart, my balls, my somebody stop, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right is gone.
Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Legge here representing Team JBS. I'm back again for another movie review. This movie technically was, I think, is made in 2019, but it is gonna be releasing out very soon, around October the 23rd, and I'm talking about Synchronic. This is starring Anthony Mackie, Katie Aselton, and Jamie Dornan. Now, Jamie Dornan, most people know him from 50 Shades of Grey movies, but I remember him first from Once Upon a Time because he was the huntsman. And Anthony Mackie, he's a beast, you know what I'm saying? This was directed by Benson, and the premise behind it is two New Orleans paramedics' lives are ripped apart after a very weird encounter, a series of horrific deaths that are linked to a designer drug with bizarre and otherworldly effects. One of the things I'm gonna say about this film, from cinematography and an imagery standpoint, the very first act, like in the way that it's shot, and a lot of the transitions and a lot of the edits, I think were perfect. Like the cinematography is actually really good. Like it's got this weird feeling about it. I was like, this feels like disgusting, like it's something sick, you know what I'm saying? Like I felt like this sick sensation. I think the director, he knew what he was doing because it led up to a certain point that it was a transition between the first act and the second act that happens specifically with Anthony Mackie's character, and you find out something about him, and that was that transition. But I mean, when I was watching, I was like, man, this feels like really ucky, like I don't know what this is, like, you know. And with the murders, the practical effects, and this is very rated R, like some of the deaths and the way that people are just like, you know, I mean, this is the thing though, like on a job as a paramedic, you're gonna see everything. You're gonna see burn victims, you're gonna see people that were, you know, impaled, you're gonna see people that were like, you know, dealing with the OD situation. It was just very weird, but the way that they actually shot it and the way that it actually looked very practical, looked very natural. But it was just a very weird feeling that I had. And even when it came to the relationship between, you know, both the main characters in Dennis and Steve, you know, you can tell there's a history there, but you can also tell, like, you know, like there's also some dirt there as well. Like it seems like even though Dennis has, you know, a family, like it seems like something going on with his daughter, and he's not as happy as he should be. And they kind of really play with that. But then, you know, you find out in the transition to the second act when Steve starts going through his stuff, Anthony Mackie's character, you know, you start to unravel a lot of that. And I think that it was written pretty well. Then when the weird stuff starts happening, this is when, for good or bad, like it takes you on this trip. And what I mean by weird stuff, I think that one of the things I have to give fault, like not a good thing about this, is the explanation behind the weird stuff. Like sometimes that works. Sometimes you're just like, yo, what is going on? But I think that the way that it was explained, it left an open-ended concept in my head, and I think that the character Steve just went with it, you know what I'm saying? And I think that if they would have added a little bit more, like actual, instead of exposition, but actual showing dialogue and actual showing scenes and flashbacks behind, you know, who he really is and, you know, what he's interested in, it would have made more when he starts to do these tests and trying to understand what's going on and trying to figure out what's going on behind this drug. I think it would have made those scenes so much more. Matter of fact, as a whole, the film is only an hour and 40 minutes, or maybe hour and 43 minutes roughly. This is one of those films that, I hate to say it, I really wish was about good 2 hours or 2 hours and 15 minutes roughly, because if there was enough, you know, background scenes, this could have been something amazing. Because if there was, then I would also leave like the back half of this, I would have went for it. I would have just gone all the way weird, because they had established certain principles behind what was really happening. What was really happening behind the deaths, and, you know, what they were starting to uncover. But at the same time, you know, the characters, Dennis and Steve, start going through their butting heads. And part of it is from lack of truth, a lot of lack of situation is going on, as well as the tragedy that happens with Dennis's character as well as Steve's character at the same exact time. And that makes for really good, you know, back and forth. But in the third and second act, it's not as emotionally as effective because there's not enough groundwork to merit some of the things that happen. Now, I think that Anthony Mackie's performance, I think he does a great job. Like, I think that he given the performance, given the material that he was given, I think that he did a good job. But I think that they could have really went for it because there's so much rich story behind both of these characters and their families that I was like, bro, they could have had some emotionally resonant moments, and they really don't go for it. Instead, they go and kind of tap more on the weird side of things that are happening, and those things, the weird stuff, the sci-fi and the supernatural side of this is crazy. Like, it actually is really cool from a concept standpoint, and I think that they executed very well. I think it's shot very well in the way the transitions between things that happen. But it's kind of like the last act, it suffers from not enough left exposure, because there's one thing that happens very early in the second act that affects Dennis that messes him up, but we don't have enough. They do go back and forth with certain, you know, flashbacks, as it were, based on exposition in a little bit. But if it was a little bit more time, like, I would have gotten an understanding, like, you know, his daughter has this that we don't know about, we've never been seen. You know, she's got her own, you know, feelings and emotions about certain things. He's got his own dirt that he understands, that he's having issues with. And I think that they just really didn't really go for this as much as they could have, given the amount of material. They have a lot of information, a lot of material. They really could have went for it. And even like the very last shot, I kind of was like, is there anything after the credits? Because I want more. I wanted to see where this would have gone, and unfortunately I don't think I'm going to see where this is going to go past this point. And that's unfortunate, because I think that this movie is really strange, really different, and it lends itself to some really interesting principles and very believable. Like, the character Steve, his interaction and reaction, some of the things, like especially the dialogue, seems, you know, it doesn't seem like gimmicky. It seems like, oh yeah, this is how somebody would really react, you know. But I just really feel like they could have weirdly went for some more emotionally resonant moments. I really think they could have really pushed this on a deeper level, and I'm not sure if that's what they were trying to do, and that's part of the reason why they kind of held back. But, you know, given the circumstances, it's okay. As far as Katie, or the wife, Tara, they don't do much with her character at all. I think they kind of, there's one scene they really use in the first act, but they really don't utilize her. They really don't. And they kind of don't really utilize the character Brianna, played by IIoannides. I think that they really could have done some really amazing things from a performance standpoint, and from just going for it. If you're going to go for the weird, go all the way for it. So, I don't know. I think I'm gonna rest this at like a 7.5 out of 10. I really did enjoy it, but I was kind of left like, I really wanted more, but I doubt I ever get any more. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate, because I think the director really did take a really good approach. I think it was written pretty well from the amount of material that's there, but I feel like it just was left at the cutting room floor somewhere, shape or form. And it's crazy because the cinematography is so good, the imagery is so good, like even the concepts for the characters are really good. Like what their thought process on life and death, and like it's very engaging, it's very interesting, but they don't really commit as much as they really could, in my personal opinion. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that review. I'll talk to you guys later on. Definitely go and check out this movie on the 23rd as soon as you can. Keep it locked. JVS, win the stop. Peace, guys. Oh, and by the way, guys, check out our interview with both directors in the description bar below, as well as tagged at the end of this message. Enjoy. Here's a little snippet.
Hey, I'm Justin, and I'm Aaron, and we're going to talk about Synchronic.
All right, you guys, check out Synchronic at your local drive-thru or theater, and definitely watch out for it on VOD on 2021. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace, guys.